As you all know, school start times have always been rather early. For generations, it has been a dream of students around the world to make school start later. Students hope for more sleep and more time to prepare themselves for the long day ahead, and we prepare to make this dream a reality.
It's this reality that we take aim at today. We provide a solution practical for both staff and students that provides benefits that have been studied by professionals for much time.
Although we as students may not have the power to change anything on an administrative level, we can plead our case and provide reasonable evidence for our claim. It is our job as students to make known our feelings and grievances in order to better our lives at school and the lives of students to be.
What do you want me to start at?
Just keep going.
I'm gonna look at you like you're saying it.
Since school is starting an hour later, you're also leaving an hour later. Do you think that could possibly negate any good side effects of having school start later?
I don't believe so because, I mean, what's 1 hour really? I mean, 1 hour, I feel like 1 hour in the morning, I value it more than 1 hour in the afternoon because in the afternoon I have more time. I can stay up a little bit later. If I stay up a little bit later, I can wake up a little bit later since, you know, school will be pushed back an hour or so.
Do you think that an hour later start time would help with traffic entering the school, as people would not have to coincide with people going to work as they come into school?
I believe so, and it's especially if the middle schools and the elementary schools were to stay at the start times that they currently are, if they didn't coincide with each other, as well as people's work schedules with people, you know, commuting to work. I think that traffic would really be lessened, especially if you're coming from, I believe if you take a right out of Shepherd Hill, there's usually a big line there.
Okay. It's recording.
Hey Gavin.
Should I be looking at No, I should be looking at just Mr. Matthew. I believe that school starting an hour later would definitely benefit me. I think I have about 25 absences in AP Bio this, I don't know, semester, year, something. I have a lot of absences and a lot of tardies as well, mostly because I'm up late at night, you know, doing homework, walking my cat, you know, making music, you know, going to the gym with you, and so that does, you know, end up taking a toll on my body, which is my temple, and you know, definitely does require more rest, you know, to build that temple back up to its prime, you know, being, as I do consider myself somewhat of a god. And so for that, I do feel like more rest would definitely be beneficial. And I do feel like school ending an hour later, not that much bad going on there, you know?
Okay, my opinion on the school day starting an hour later. I think one of the major things would be after school activities, athletics. Would it help in the morning? Potentially, yes, in terms of a later start, you know, in terms of tardies. But I would also argue that people will adjust to that time. So, okay, I'm going to sleep an hour later. Because if we look at the time change, like if you're running late, like in the fall or spring, in theory, the time changes, you shouldn't change. You should actually get to school on time, you know, same with people in the workplace or whatever. Busing is related because, sure, it works for the high school, but then you get into the middle and the elementary, and then you're dealing with parents' work schedules. I mean, it already happens when there's like 2 hour delays, like people get thrown off their whole routine, like who's gonna get my kid on the bus, who's gonna get my kid off the bus. Really, every school would have to do it too, because like if we chose to do it, then how are we gonna compete athletic-wise against Oxford, Wachusett? You know, everybody kind of has to get on the same schedule. Maybe a half hour, a full hour, because then you're looking at elementary kids wouldn't even get in the building till like 9:40, like, and then they're you know. in the end, I think what people will, it'll probably be an even draw. Some people will be in favor of it, some people, and they'll be helped with it. Some people will be like, oh, this is a pain in the butt. In the end, I think people will adjust. I mean, it's kind of like the COVID schedule. There was no perfect COVID schedule, but we had to get something that works for the majority of people. So in the end, you're not going to find a perfect answer. My personal opinion is maybe 8 o'clock. I'd probably do 20 minutes and then get out at 2:30.
It's the story of working in secondary education. We have to try to strike a balance between what we as the adults think is right, and given our experience and our lifetime of participation, versus what the student feels is right and appropriate for themselves. And not to be condescending, but in like that limited time frame of experiencing. Right now you may say, I already get home at 9 o'clock. What's the difference if I got home at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock? And the truth is, it may not impact you that much, or your brother or whoever. If you got home later, a little later, or an hour later, or 2 hours later, it just comes back to what are people's comfort level, tolerance level, what are we willing to accept, what are we willing to do and allow for our students, our young developing students. This cognitive development is still ongoing even when you're a senior in high school. So, there's a lot that goes into that, and that's part of the debate. It's always been a part of the debate, and it will always be a part of the civil discourse that happens, as students get older and exercise their right to a voice and their right to provide an opinion and provide feedback. That's another perspective and another viewpoint that is a part of the greater conversation. It comes back to adults making the final decisions on things sometimes. So advocacy is never a bad thing, but I think the reality is, ultimately we need to do what we think is right for the most number of people. And from an athletic standpoint, I don't know that I necessarily have a position on it, that I think we should or shouldn't do it. I think from where I stand, my role isn't so much in what occurs in the building throughout the school day on the academic side. So if those who are in charge felt that it was in the best interest to go with a later start time, then my role would be to find the logistical avenue to go to make it work from an extracurricular standpoint, and just be as supportive as possible in that endeavor.
Awesome.
There are several studies that prove that, in theory, a later school start time does prove to be beneficial to students. In an article, Mrs. Anayat Durrani explains that teenagers need 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night, but almost 60% of middle schoolers and more than 70% of high schoolers don't get enough sleep on school nights, and that's according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Now, we aren't suggesting that school be pushed back an hour later or even a half hour. But what we are suggesting is that our schools find a way to collaborate with the students to find a good amount of time to move the school day forward that is agreeable on all levels of administration.
Even if nothing is done in the end due to challenges with the bus system or scheduling issues with other schools, we believe that a discussion has been created among the students and staff, and that we are prepared to take action about school start times if something does change. For generations, I forgot the line.
It's this reality that we take.
No, I'm not filming. Wait.
It's this reality that we take aim at today. Our solution is practical for both staff and students and provides benefits that have been studied by professionals.
We still rolling?
No, we're not.
Is this thing on?
Matt, I turned it off.
Okay, I don't really know what
This
else
is
to
so
talk about.
unprofessional and embarrassing.
Conor, shut up!
There's a camera there. There's
So-
a camera there.
No, this is going in the bloopers. You can't swear.